What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another review of both Monday Night Raw and Smackdown Live. And we have a new announcement of the Superstar Shakeup for both brands. Some more debuts, or new debuts for each brand. And we're going to talk about what happened on both shows and what the debuts can do for both shows. So let's get into it. I want to kick this off by saying thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the commentary, like, share, subscribe if you're new. And let's go. Now we get to the opening of the show. First, let's start with Monday Night Raw. The show opens up with the video package of Wrestlemania. After the video package goes off, the fans chant, "Thank you, Taker. Thank you, Taker." And after that, Roman Reigns comes out to a massive boo. Not cheers. Boo. Massive amounts of boos. And he couldn't get a word out, because every time he puts the mic to his mouth, he gets a massive amounts of boos. And he just kept it short and sweet, claiming that this is his yard now. And he drops the mic and walks out. And the fans keeps up with the massive amount of boos. And our first match is the Hardy Boys defending their championship in a rematch against Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. Hardy Boys win. Not really too much to say about the match. Of course, we didn't expect the Hardy Boys to drop the titles on their first night back. So, Hardy Boys defeat Gallows and Anderson. So after the Hardy Boys match, we get Mr. McMahon. He comes out and announced that there would be a Superstar Shakeup next week for both Raw and SmackDown. And he announces a new GM, which the GM turns out to be Kurt Angle. And so, the Superstar Shakeup will take place next week. I'll get my thoughts on it at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. So we get our first cruiserweight match. Mustafa Ali versus Neville. Know what to expect from Neville. Neville picks up the victory here. Not really too much to say about it. We all knew Kurt Angle was going to be back in some shape or form after the Hall of Fame. If not in a wrestling capacity, we knew after Mick Foley got fired, he was going to become the Raw GM. So, congrats to Kurt Angle. So, we're on to the New Day. They come out, issue an open challenge, and we get our first debut of the night, and it's the Revival. And the Revival absolutely destroyed the New Day. So yeah, so happy to see the Revival on the main roster. And stay tuned. We'll be talking about all this stuff at the end of both reviews. And then we have the 6-woman tag team match. Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Dana Brooke versus Charlotte, Nia Jax, and the returning Emma. So here we get another return in the form of Emma. So she debuts after WrestleMania. So the failed debut of Emmalina, and she returns as Emma. So she's on Raw along with the Revival and the Hardys. Sasha Banks taps out Charlotte for the victory for her team. And after the match, Nia Jax destroys Charlotte So it's quite funny that that they did this on Monday Night Raw when they were the first two eliminated at WrestleMania. I don't understand why. Neither woman was dominant at WrestleMania. Nia got eliminated from a triple power bomb, and I think Sasha got eliminated from a natural selection. It made zero sense to me. But anyway, let's move on to the next segment. The new Universal Champion Brock Lesnar comes out with Paul Heyman, cuts a promo about Goldberg will not be here ever again. And that prompts Braun Strowman to come out and tell Brock Lesnar that Brock Lesnar has his interest. It has his attention. Because Brock had the Universal Championship. And Braun wants that championship. So Brock laid the championship on the ground, tells Braun Strowman to step up. And Braun Strowman etches the ring. And that ends the segment. So I guess this is our rumored SummerSlam match for when Brock come back. So I'm really interested to see what's going to happen. So we get a number one contenders match for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Cesaro and Sheamus versus Enzo and Cass. And Cesaro and Sheamus comes out with the victory. So the Hardy's next contenders is Cesaro and Sheamus. So I'm reckoning that match would be at Payback. So we up next we get Sami Zayn versus Jinder Mahal. They had a segment early on in the night, and it led to a match. And Sami Zayn beat Jinder Mahal. And we get on to our main event, a tag team match. Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins and a mystery opponent. First it was Chris Jericho. It was advertised as Seth Rollins and Chris Jericho versus Sami Zayn. First the match was advertised as Seth Rollins and Chris Jericho versus Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens. Early on in the night, Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens attacked Jericho and put him through a table. And Kurt Angle said he would not be medically cleared to compete tonight. So we get our last return of the night, and it's Finn Balor. And Finn Balor teams up with Seth Rollins to take on Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens. And Finn Balor and Seth Rollins defeats Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens. And that's Monday Night Raw in a nutshell. And now we're on to SmackDown. And SmackDown opens up with Randy Orton, our new WWE champion. Cuts a promo on Bray Wyatt. And then prompts Bray Wyatt to show up on a Titantron. And announce that he wants a match with Randy Orton. And the match is called the House of Horror. And Randy Orton accepts the match. Lights go out. And Bray Wyatt winds up behind Orton. And they start brawling. And then Orton goes for something. And then Eric Rowan comes out of nowhere, pulls his leg and throws him to the barricade. And Eric Rowan returns to help Bray Wyatt. But as they were jumping Orton, Luke Harper came out there. And they beat up Bray Wyatt and Eric Rowan. And this turns into a tag team match for the main event of SmackDown. And we wound up with our first match of the night. Alexa Bliss invoking her rematch clause after she lost the championship at WrestleMania to Naomi. So it's Naomi versus Alexa Bliss. And Naomi comes out with the win, making Alexa Bliss tap out. And then we get Kurt Hawkins. He comes out and issues an open challenge to anyone in the back. And he says they had to have to the count of 10. And this prompts the perfect 10, Ty Dillinger, to come out. And he's our first superstar to debut to the main roster from NXT on SmackDown. And he defeats Kurt Hawkins with a tiebreaker. And then we get a segment with Miz and Maurice coming out as spoofs of John Cena and Nikki Bella, and say how they have a A-listed send-off. And we get our next debut, and it's the two-time NXT champion Shinsuke Nakamura. And he comes out to the biggest pop of the night and fade to black. We get a rematch from Wrestlemania and Baron Corbin versus Dean Ambrose in a street fight, which the match should have been at WrestleMania. I don't understand why they didn't do it instead of having a regular match for the Intercontinental Championship. And this is one thing that really irks me, is the 50-50 booking. So Dean Ambrose retained the championship at WrestleMania, and on SmackDown, Baron Corbin defeats Dean Ambrose. So what was the whole point of having him lose at WrestleMania if he can prove that he can beat Dean Ambrose? So you're telling me he can't beat Ambrose when it really counts, and for the Intercontinental Championship? Instead, he beats him on SmackDown where nothing's on the line. It makes no sense to me. And there's your 50-50 booking. So Ambrose loses to Corbin in a street fight. And we get Shane McMahon. He proceeds to talk about the superstar shakeup that Vince talked about on Monday Night Raw. And that prompts AJ to come out. AJ says that he doesn't want to go nowhere. That SmackDown Live is the house that AJ Styles built. And I agree with him. Do not switch him to Raw. Leave him on SmackDown, please. And that he don't want nobody to take that moniker away from him. So leave AJ on SmackDown, please. And AJ said he felt that he owed Shane McMahon something after WrestleMania. And he stood in the middle of the ring and shook his hand. So that's a sign of AJ becoming a babyface. And we get our main event of the night. Randy Orton and Luke Harper versus Bray Wyatt and Eric Rowan. And granted that Orton just won a championship, we knew he wasn't going to lose. So him and Harper defeated Bray Wyatt and Eric Rowan. It's a tag team match, so really there's nothing exciting about it. We've seen all these guys in the ring before, so you know what to expect. And that's really SmackDown all in a nutshell. So at the next pay-per-view, we're going to get the House of Horrors match between Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, I guess. And that's my SmackDown review. Now the show that I think won between Raw and SmackDown this week is SmackDown. Now Monday Night Raw had the return of Finn Balor, the return of Emma, and the debut of the Revival, and the return matches of the Hardys. But aside from that, it's been a mediocre Monday Night Raw. Granted, we had Brock and Strowman. After Raw went off the air on Raw Talk, Goldberg says goodbye, just for the time being. But Raw, there's really nothing that I see that interested me, but outside of those four things I listed earlier. We really seen everything every week, the same thing every week. So I'm gonna get a victory to SmackDown. The debut of Ty Dillinger was great. The debut of Shinsuke Nakamura, that's what gave them the victory in my opinion. And the Shane and AJ segment. And AJ proclaiming that SmackDown is the house he built. And I'm really interested in seeing Nakamura versus AJ, but that's going to be held down for further down the line, later on in the year. So Shinsuke would probably do something with The Miz. SmackDown's getting better, man. Even though they have the less roster slots, the 2 hour show is really helping the SmackDown brand. So we're gonna get his victory to SmackDown this week. And next week we're gonna see what Raw and SmackDown do with the Superstar shakeup and with Superstar switch brands. So that's it for my review of both Raw and SmackDown. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up down below. Share, subscribe, and I'm out. See you in the